You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 195 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day is Monday, August 28th, 2023, and it looks like it's going to be a very sunny day here at the Beaver Lodge. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, and with me as always is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. We have a Monday morning bite for you, and let's thank our sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. But first, let's say good morning to Mr. Grizzly and ask, how's your mental health doing today?
Well, good morning, Mr. Beaver. My mental health is actually in pretty good shape. My physical health is another story altogether. I'm kind of tired. It was a very, 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 very busy weekend. As you well know, I mean, we did the Saturday pubcast, and then yesterday I was at the office at 9 a.m. to help get set up, to get our cart set up and the sound system set up, and then in the parade, and it was a great time. But oh my goodness, I'm just physically exhausted after all that.
I can completely understand you. I am too, actually. Yesterday, I don't know this lately, but my legs wore or my feet and my head, my lower back.
A lot of walking, though,
right?
Right?
Yesterday, I came back home.
Did you make it to
Sorry, go ahead.
Kaisa last night? Did you make it out to see
No,
Kaisa last night?
no, I didn't. I didn't make it to Kaisa. I was Saturday, not yesterday.
Oh, was it?
I don't know if
Oh,
she
I thought it
performed
was
twice, but
Sunday. Either way.
as we on Saturday from the area where we were,
Mhm.
as I was walking away, somebody was saying, "Are you ready for Kaisa?" And it's like, "Oh God, really? Is it? Was it?" So we completely missed.
I thought it was last night. Oh well, either way,
You are frozen on my
I
screen.
had no energy left by the end of the night last night. Well, the end of the night, I mean, we finished and tore everything down, put everything away, and then went and had a post meeting post parade meeting, right, to make sure, what could we do better for next year and how did things go.
Right.
And I had a beer, sat with my colleagues, and we figured out a bunch of stuff. And then it was like 5 o'clock. I got to go home. I walked in the house and I had to lie down for like an hour because I was just exhausted. I got a bit of a sunburn too. Just on my one arm because that was the arm that was outside of the golf cart.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
Outside because I mean it didn't necessarily always feel so hot, but it was a hot day.
It was. It was only about 20 degrees.
And I think around
but with the humidity, I think it was 26.
Same time. But it seemed to be searing hot for some reason.
It was the sun was hot. There was no wind at all either.
Yeah.
Right?
So we had got after at Lemongrass.
Nice.
And then I decided that I had had enough for a while, half, and Alex to get nothing left in me. And still he convinced me to go dancing. And I found a bit of a second wind.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, at about 10:30 yesterday, I just hit a wall. It's like we're dancing like this, like half, like this, and then mid move. I really got to go home now. Just done. I was like halfway through a booty shake. Yeah, that's it. They went left and it won't come back right. So we need to go home now.
I get that. I get that. Oh man,
I'm going to be walking funny for the next 500 meters until it snaps back.
I hear you.
But it was a wonderful Capitol Pride.
It was the biggest parade ever, eh? By a large margin.
I was wondering about that. I was wondering about that. I have never seen. Now, it wasn't throughout the entire parade route where there were several people deep. Normally, there's in Ottawa Pride Parade. There's you can all stand in the front, and sometimes there are huge gaps with not very many people. Not the case yesterday.
No. Nope.
I've been reading, but I wasn't sure for sure. But for me, in my experience, 34 years, by far the biggest.
Oh yeah, it was massive
attendance.
Well,
it's almost like
to give you an idea of how big the parade was. To give you an idea of how big the parade was, like how many floats, there was on the Laurier Avenue, it went all the way across the bridge. There was the A line and then the B line. So we were on the other side. It was an hour and 20 minutes. Yep. The parade had started at 1. We didn't start to march until 2:20. So an hour and 20 minutes to get the first section through before we even began. That's how big it was. Massive.
It was one of the longest parades I've seen in Ottawa. And I was having that feeling that it was the most attended, and it's almost like somebody put out the call. You've seen what this year's been like. Allies, please come out, and they did.
Yes, and there were. I didn't see any counter protesters or anything like that.
None. I didn't see a single one.
Nope.
That guy that's usually there every single year with his 2 boys.
Didn't see him. Yeah.
That little trio. He's always got the same. Yeah. Same one. Always it's got the same placard. I did not see them at all this year. There was.
I did see a few placards. I saw a few placards that immediately catch my eye, and I look, and it says "Protect Trans Kids," and I was like, okay. At first, I thought it was "Protect the Kids," that group, which has nothing to do with protecting children. But then it was "Protect Trans Kids." I'm like, good.
Yep. And there was lots of people giving free mom hugs and free dad hugs, which
I saw lots of that.
People don't know, but at Pride, the free mom hugs and free dad hugs. You people are wonderful, absolutely, because there's a lot of us who have been rejected by our parents. So just to not get
that's why they do it, right?
Get a mom hug. It's
That's why they do it, because they know kids have been rejected by their own family, right? So yeah.
But that's
it was
amazing, right?
Good. It was a good day.
When you sit there, like total stranger will go, "You had problem with your parents, but I will love you. Come get a hug."
Yeah.
They're good
So
people.
I don't.
They're good people.
I'm sure you saw. I'm sure you saw our parade route. I was in the golf cart. I was the MC and the DJ, and we had the tunes a pounding. And at one point, uh, um, Bridget climbed into the back of the golf cart, and I'm like, oh, "Babe, you can't be there. You can't be there." She's like, "Why not?" I'm like, "Because if you fell, there's liabilities at stake." So
I got in
Right.
yeah, before the parade, she got in.
ride to the start line. Hi, Douglas.
Hello.
I'm super proud of myself for it. He's like, you can't get in the golf cart. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna find a way.
I'm like, you can't do that.
But I did.
Yeah. The liability would be something else.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I'm sure you heard the tunes. We had the tunes a pounding. I mean, we had the tunes a pounding.
And again, we watched the whole thing because we got ahead of the parade. We watched everything up until the group we wanted to march with showed up, and we marched with them. And then once the parade was over, we got back to the end of the route and then watched the rest of it go by. One of the
Nice.
longest parades in history, and you guys had some of the best sound.
Oh, really? I've heard that
like
from a
even
few
with, like,
people, and I'm like,
the big
is
rigs
that like,
and all that kind of stuff. The sound was great.
yeah. Well, the guy who put it
But I mean,
together, he rented a PA, and that whole thing was battery powered. That was off a battery, which was wild because
amazing.
we had that thing cranked, man. It was loud.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, it was loud, but it was clear, and it wasn't. There was no distortion. Because
No,
often when you get volume,
it was
you
nice.
get,
Yeah.
there was nothing. Okay, so you guys had a little golf cart, and you had that sound. You had like people on big rigs, with flatbeds and trailers and backlit
Yeah.
people dancing, whatnot, who did not have that quality of sound. So it's not about size, people.
Well, I was on the job, right? I was on the
think
job, so
you were on the job.
I
I
was
think
on the
Mr.
job.
Beaver
So
needs to adjust his volume up a bit. Yeah, sorry, I don't have anywhere to rest this, so it's handheld, so it might be moving different distances from my face every now and then. I apologize for that, Jillian. And a really interesting thing happened yesterday. I don't know if you saw it because you were at a different part in the parade, but at one point, a giant tiger was there.
Mhm. Yeah, they were
And
parked directly across from us. So when we
Okay.
were waiting to start, they were in the A line directly across from us. And at one point,
Okay.
they started blowing on the horn, and I said, "We don't like
Exactly.
those sounds in Centertown. They bring up bad memories." And that got
Exactly.
a
I was
laugh out
sitting
of everybody.
Exactly. I was sitting right next to Alex when I saw the giant tiger truck go by and he was honking the horn. I think this might be the first time in about 3 years that honking in this city by a truck might be actually a little bit welcome and cheered. See, here, truck nuts. If you want to drive your trucks and honk them all you want, just drive them during a pride parade.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing: it's only a few hours. It's like 3 hours, 4 hours, and then
But
it's
get
done.
it all out.
It's not for weeks on end.
Yes,
Yeah.
those 3 hours,
But
but
it
get it
wasn't
all
for
out
weeks
then.
on end, and they didn't blow the horn constantly. It's just a few times
No,
here
no,
and
no,
there,
no.
right? So
Yep. But it was I was just sitting there and I was going, I don't know if that's a judicious choice.
mm,
I had so much fun this year. Oh, and
yeah.
because she was in town, I was hoping to bump into her at some point to say hello because I'd like to interview her at some point. But Faye Johnston was there,
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
big trans activist whose picture was on the Hershey bars,
Mhm.
and I passed right by her yesterday
Bridget
at
met
one
her.
point, but she, huh?
Bridget
Pardon?
met her a couple of days ago.
Oh, wow. Because I really wanted to meet her. So I was hoping I would bump into her somehow. Because Ottawa's small enough that you can bump into people.
Oh, yeah.
You can leave somewhere else and go, I hope I bump into this person, and probably will if they're there. So I did like cross right back. I mean, it was literally like within touching distance. But it was Sunday and it was probably past 4. And she was here to work for part of it.
Yeah.
And now she was just with friends and she was just like laughing and talking. And I thought, you know what? she's probably been interrupted enough over the course of the weekend, so I decided to take a little pass on it. But I was hoping to say hi and say, hey, by the way, if you ever like to come on the show.
Hmm.
Let's see. Wouldn't that set them off? Invite them to a honking parade and then surprise, rainbows. Oh, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
guys, we're having a protest. Want to come?
I'll be right downtown
Oh, we're
Ottawa.
protesting for trans kids. Oh, sorry.
For, not against.
Oops.
Oopsie. Did I forget to leave that in? Did I forget that? Did I leave that out? Did I forget to include that in the description?
I meant to say not. I meant to
Mm.
say not. You understand that. Your guy Trumpy
Yeah.
did that in Helsinki. Remember?
Mhm.
You understand how these things happen.
Slip of the tongue. Slip of the tongue. I
Slip of
misspoke.
the tongue. Ah, man. To be totally honest, have a very little new information for you today because I just dived into the Pride. So
Yeah.
news-wise, I'm a little thin, but we do have a few things, I'm sure. Mr. Grizzly, if you have
Well,
something, please get us kicked off.
I do have something I don't know if you're aware of, and I would think that because you've not made mention of it, you aren't aware of what took place on the weekend in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh yeah, I did hear that. Eesh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
Let me just pull it
Guy
up here.
Struder came in, and I believe was it 3 people he killed
In a Dollarama.
in a Dollarama
Yeah.
because they were black, and then of course
Mhm.
turned the gun on himself. I know there's nothing to understand because at this point there's mental illness and people have snapped, and
He was just a racist,
yeah, but
hateful individual
I
with
I
no
don't
love in his life, obviously.
no, but I don't understand. I mean, I guess I can understand it one way in a twisted way, but it's you want to go. That's one thing, and we don't condone suicide. But if you want to go, why take other people down with you?
I don't know.
I that part, and I mean, I know it's like one last blaze of glory, or I will be remembered, or something, right? Or I'm going to go out making a point. I get that, but I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, I mean, and the first time I had this thought was with families, right? Because you often see it with families.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like this, and then they decide they're going to take the kids out too, and it's just like, just don't. I mean, I know nobody's listening to me on that. And when that situation happens, there's certainly, my words aren't going to be what people remember, but I don't get it. I just don't get taking people out with you on the way out.
I don't understand it at all.
I don't understand it. Kit Chillian, he's alone, but oh, sorry. No, I thought that was related to this. Sorry. Yes.
Mm.
Boy. Yeah, Jacksonville. They're gonna.
It's heartbreaking, right?
It is, and what's really heartbreaking is that they're going to talk about it a lot for about a day or two, and then they're just going to forget.
Do you know I have a terrible statistic for you. You know what the number one killer of children and adolescents in the United States of America is today? Not COVID, not flu, it's not RSV, it's guns. It's guns. It's being shot. That's the number one killer of children and adolescents in the United States of America in 2023. But where's the ban on assault weapons?
I don't understand. Land of the free, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, but can you lose your life?
As long as you don't get shot.
Yeah, can lose your life for the committing the cardinal sin of trying to acquire an education or going out for milk.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. We have Kit James here in the chat saying it was the 60th anniversary of the MLK's March on Washington. That's true.
That's right.
Which is kind of interesting because I was listening to Rachel Maddow the other day, and she was talking about how Ronald Rumpelstiltskin, or Crumpled Foreskin, was telling everybody to come and protest, and he's been saying that arraignment after arraignment, and fewer people have coming out. That apparently for this time around he didn't say it for Atlanta, come out and protest, because the last 2 or 3 times he said it, people didn't. So I guess he figured he didn't want to say it again and have people not come out. Kit Allen, it all feels very surreal. We are in a weird timeline.
Very weird timeline. Very strange. I just don't know what to make of it.
I remember watching The Daily Show at one point. I think it was Jordan Klepper was interviewing someone, and it was a woman, and she was sitting there like this. They were all talking like this, and then all of a sudden, just out of the blue, it was like, "Why do you do it?" or something like that. And she was like, "Well, because hating is fun." Okay, hating may be fun, like in the gay sense. Like when you watch the Oscars and somebody comes up in a dress where you think, "Oh my God, who picked that on you, girl?" Okay, that kind of hating we get.
Yeah,
The person wearing the dress probably still doesn't like it when they clue into their social media. We get that, but it's like, but you made a choice to wear that dress. You had it coming. But this,
how it boils down, right?
But this, no.
Yeah.
I hate you because you're black. I hate you because you're gay. I hate you because you're trans. I hate you because you're Muslim. That's not fun.
That's messed up.
That's not hatin, TIN apostrophe.
No, that's hating.
It's not throwing shade. Right? It's not campy, all in good fun. Yes, it would have been worse if he had gotten onto that HBCU campus. Yeah, the security guard who turned him away should get a raise. Yeah. Yeah. Shooter left a manifesto citing the MLK anniversary. I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, my God. Gee. Yeah, Kid James, if ever I kill a bunch of people, don't let anyone bring up my past mental health problems. That's often a cop-out.
Exactly.
I have no stats, but I would tend to agree.
Oh, yeah.
But pure speculation. I don't know. That's literally just personal opinion. I have nothing to base that on factually or science or statistically. Just so you know, because we like to be honest about that stuff. Yeah. Oh, man. But back here, I have to say, to the organizers of Capital Pride this year, standing ovation. Yeah, you did a really wonderful job. The entertainment was great. Security was great. The mood was great. The vibe was great. It's the biggest one I've seen to date. It was just a lovely, lovely, lovely time. It really was. It really was. I enjoyed myself very much. And I will be back.
Well,
universe willing.
That's to be expected, right?
Yes. Yeah, I will be back. We have some kids. Kit Linda M. Good morning to you. Kit James. We've just said hello to you. Pete. Hey, friend. It's so lovely to see you. And I'm sure there are more kits, but my scroll down thing won't work. So I will say hello to Kit Ellen because I only 6 people on my screen at once. There we go. Kit Dan, Kit Saucy, Kit PNC Bio. I'm sure there are more. If I haven't mentioned you by name, there's a little delay here when I'm working my screen.
Yeah, we got a big delay.
All right. Let's see. Oh, I'm having some connection issues again, it seems. I love the Romper Room segment of the show. There we go. Delay issues have resolved themselves there. All right. In the news, let's see what I have in terms of tidbits. So this will probably just be tidbits, random tidbits. The GOP debate that took place the other day. After the debate takes place, everybody passes through something called the spin room. That happens in Canada as well, where you basically come to the mic and explain why it is that you won. Or your team comes out and explains what it is that you won. Most likely when you lost. But Mike Pence passed through the spin room and for some reason mentioned some comment about, well, that he's not really well known yet. Dude.
What?
To which a journalist said, pretty much, I'm paraphrasing here. Dude, you were vice president for 4 years. What do you mean you're not known yet?
Mhm. Yeah.
Then I think part of the reason is because people were surprised by Mike Pence because during the debate there were a couple of times where he was a little fiery and actually like raised his voice a bit rather than just doing the soft thing.
Did Mother allow that?
It seems Mother allowed that. Well, hell hath no fury like a mother scorned. They did try to kill her man.
Well, this is true, and they had literally tried to do that. They were intent on doing it.
Mm-hmm. So,
it's no secret.
I wouldn't.
That was real.
If I was any member of the GOP, I wouldn't want to be in a room alone with Mother right now.
No.
Mm-mm.
Goodness, no.
And legitimately so. They tried to kill her man.
Yeah.
Whatever you think about Mother and Pence, that's not cool.
They tried to kill him when he was literally certifying the election results, which were
for doing his job.
Yeah.
Literally.
I mean,
and you think that the Republicans would take a cue from that, right?
You would think, but they still kept pushing this stop the steal when there was no steal. There was no steal.
That trying to kill people just for doing their job might be a bad thing. You think that the message might have been driven home? But no, apparently he's not well known enough yet. That's like when conservatives keep on saying, people love our policies, we just didn't communicate them well. No, it's your policies. Trust me, it's your policies. And the people selling them. Now, also, interesting thing, Team Trump, the legal team, proposed April 2026 as a date to start the election
for the trial
overturn case. So the previous time for the Docs case, it was sort of like, well, how about postponing it till after the election? No determined time. So like never, pretty much. Does never work for you? And the judge said, no. So this time, rather than sometime after the election, they actually picked a date, April 2026. At which time he would probably say, well, I've got midterms coming now.
Yeah. We can't do it now.
Right.
He's just going to try and push it. But they say he might be disqualified because of the 14th Amendment.
The 14th Amendment.
I can't remember I can't remember the verbiage, but basically because he pulled an insurrection, he's automatically disqualified according to the 14th Amendment. And again, I'm not a lawyer and I don't understand it fully, but I read the gist of it and it's like, okay, that seems to make sense to me.
Yep. So, yeah. I think Jack Smith had proposed originally January 1st or something like that, around that, 2024, which Trump's lawyers then wrote this whole note. We talked about it a little bit, right? When they said when they were if they stacked the papers, it would be taller than the Washington Monument. I made a mistake. Yes. Apparently, I said if you stack the papers one on top of the other. No. If you stack them end to end, they said. Who stacks papers at the end? So if you make a trail of papers end to end, it would be taller than the Washington Monument. Not if you stack them. Most people say if you stack the papers, it would be taller. But no, they actually put them end to end. And then they made this claim, something like this. Well, the average time to get a case completely true is 29 months. So what's the rush? And it's like, well, you know how they got to that 29 months? And you know what? When they filed this, Jack Smith filed his counter, boom, right away. Right? So he knew what they were going to say.
Oh, yeah.
What they did is they sampled 22 cases taken during the time of COVID when the court was running at its slowest, and then counted the time of the case all the way through sentencing. not to the guilty verdict. Sometimes sentencing can take 1.5 years to 2. And they put that all together, and then they took one case that had like 19 different co-defendants, which were those ones are really longer, and they threw that one too. And they said, it normally takes 29 months. I was like, Jack goes, yeah, you threw all these things in, all the pretrial motions and all the sentencing. And they're like, no, it's not like that. And then they had like 4 different excuses. Like, oh yeah, and then January for the trial date, it was like, because what he's doing is he's going to one courtroom and saying, I can't possibly come on this date. I've got something in another courtroom, and this other date, I've been criming so much, I can't make this trial. So basically, for all intents and purposes, and then he went like to the judge whose date that conflicted with. He said, can you believe these people are showing so much disrespect to you? You should really throw this thing. And Jack Smith just turned around. Okay, January 1st we'll do it. How about January 2nd? Is everybody clear on the 2nd? I'm good on the 2nd. I was getting off my teeth. I'm flexible.
How's that work?
I'm willing to negotiate. What a loser. Oh my God. These are just little things that I found amusing along the way. Then it seems, remember when we were talking about that vote in Ohio recently, because they're planning to have a referendum on making abortion, well, severely restricting abortion, putting it in the Constitution. And the Republicans thinking that they couldn't win because, vote is 50% plus 1, tried to pass a referendum to change the rules in the middle of the game to raise the threshold to 60%. Well, it seems that something like that has happened in Georgia, too, with regard to Donald Trump. The Georgia Congress passed a law creating a new state commission. And this state commission, shades of Ron DeSantis, would allow for the removal of a prosecuting attorney for vague and very, very, very nebulous reasons that are not very precisely defined in the law. So pretty much any reason, right? Purposely written. And it seems that that law has been written in such a way that it pretty much immediately goes into effect. And a Georgia state senator has already suggested, hey, maybe we should use this law to remove Fani Willis. This new law that we just created after passed like this, so we're going to change the rules in the middle of the game again.
How convenient.
The party that's leading all this protest for Donald Trump, because apparently the rules were changed in the middle of the game to allow people more ways to vote because there was a freaking pandemic. Yes. Actually,
let's not let reality get in the way.
Yeah, but it seems they actually have no problem with changing the rules in the middle of the game. That's apparently not their issue. Because they've done it twice now.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I see that comment on Twitter sometimes, right? There's somebody that turns around and goes, like, for example, a parent expresses a concern or something about their child. And they say, oh, look at you using your child to make a political statement. So look at you just using somebody else's child to have made a political statement.
They don't see it that way, though.
So it's like, but now that we've clearly established you don't have problem using children to make a political statement.
Yeah.
Right. That's not what you have a problem with. That's not really what you're against. Clearly. Kid Daily Beaver still laughing at 63215.
That was Muhammad Ali in his prime. 6'3", 215.
Exactly. There's another thing going on in Arkansas where Sarah Huckabee Sanders is now the governor, whose father, Mike Huckabee, apparently is a man of God. In 1957, yeah, really. In 1957, there was something that happened at a school in Little Rock.
Mm-hmm.
There's a group called the Little Rock Nine. Once
Mm-hmm.
desegregation in schools was put in place, 9 students tried to go to a school, and they weren't being allowed in. So the cops were called in to help them assert their rights and go to school. Well, now there's a AP, Advanced Placement African American Studies class that's offered in Arkansas. But Sarah Huckabee Sanders has decided that this course will no longer count for credit if schools are offering it, and that universities should not consider the grade. And once you take the course, once you do your final exam, the school board is no longer paying for it.
Interesting.
And there are 6 high schools in Little Rock who are, or in the state, I think, who are defying the governor on this, who are offering the course anyway. And there are universities that are saying that we will accept it anyway. But she is literally, again, the party that says we're against cancel culture is literally trying to cancel the AP African American Studies class in her state. And just, yes, Kitsasi attacking the education system is a very fascist maneuver. I agree. I agree very much. Yeah. Kitland and Watch Mamas get together and hold bake sales to pay for the exams. Probably. Yeah. The community is already mobilizing. So, yeah. And last, I know that this is a little U.S. heavy because those are the news I was listening to at the moment, but I hope I will be able to get to some Canadian stuff soon. Just an update on Hawaii. 114 are now confirmed dead in the worst wildfire ever to take place on American soil, and 850 are still missing. Yeah, that's not going to be a good result when everything is said and done. Here in Canada, when we were talking about the lake in the Okanagan area that the fire jumped, just to give you an idea of what wildfire behavior can be, it seems, from what I heard on the news, that that lake is about 2 kilometers wide. So the fire was burning so intensely, and the wind was such that it was able to take embers and make them travel 2 kilometers away to the other side of that lake in the Okanagan to put in danger West Kelowna and Kelowna.
Wow.
2 kilometers away it jumped.
That's crazy.
That's a big jump. In the town of Enterprise in Northwest Territories, it's a small hamlet of about 100 people. There was about 50 homes there, a few 50 homes and a couple of businesses. The St. Amour, when the fire was coming in, the winds were at 70 to 80 kilometers an hour at the time.
Wow.
Got Kitsasi going. Embers can travel up to 40 kilometers on a windy day. Yeah, so 70 to 80 kilometers an hour, the fire was traveling. Out of all those homes and businesses in that hamlet, about a dozen homes are still standing. That's it.
Crazy. It's all gone.
That's it. That's it. It's gone. So 30 families are without a home there. Mike Westwick of the Northwest Territories Fire Information Service is quoted as saying, "It just moved at an unbelievable pace. That was one of the craziest days that I've ever seen or ever heard of in terms of fire management in the Northwest Territories." It made the situation so dangerous that the firefighters had to actually be pulled out at that time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There is good progress being made in Ypres, which is good. There were some towns, I think close to Fort Simpson or Hay River, I think, that the fire got within 1 kilometers of. But it seems it has not hit the town, so things are still safe there. And then in the Northwest Territories, there's a small town the name I couldn't pick up from it being pronounced. It's one of the smallest towns in the Northwest Territories with a population of just over 100 people. And that town had been evacuated, had received an evacuation order, but because the cell phone towers melted,
Wow.
nobody was sure whether or not they got the message. So they were supposed to be evacuated to Fort Simpson, and nobody had arrived. So somebody from Fort Simpson placed a call to people in Fort Providence, which is about 7 kilometers away from that place.
Mhm.
And someone drove all the way from Fort Providence to that town and found out that, in fact, they had not gotten the message, so was able to evacuate them when the fire was only about 14 kilometers away. They hadn't gotten a warning
That's
because
wild.
everything had melted. So whoever that person from Fort Simpson who made that 7-kilometer trip just to check if everything was okay, you saved about 100 lives.
Good on you. That's Order of Canada worthy, I think.
I would think so. I would think so.
I mean, you're going above and beyond, right?
Yeah. Now, in the central Okanagan area, several evacuation orders have been downgraded to only, but please be vigilant because fire behavior can switch at any time. A dozen fires in the area still pose a threat to public safety, or I think that's a dozen fires in the province. There are still over 300 burning, but a dozen of them pose a threat to public safety at the moment. So please, again, if you have people in the area that you know, let them know to be careful and to not mess around if they get an evacuation order, and if they're an evacuation order, to really make sure that they have everything packed already by the door and
yes.
ready to go, or even in the trunk already.
Have a go bag, basically.
Yeah, just have a go bag. And if there are things you're really worried about, like memories or whatnot, pack them up beforehand. Because when you get the order, it's not time to start trying to remember the things that you want to bring. The very personal things.
Never thought we'd have a day like that in Canada where you need to start having preparatory things to just leave at the last second. Yet here we are. That's usually something you hear about people who live in like Hurricane Alley or Tornado Alley or something like that. But nope, we got a whole different thing.
Yeah. A couple of back to some U.S. stuff because I'm going through different screens here. With regard to the protests for Trump, there's two things happening. Not only are they not coming, but it seems that the fact that about 650 people who were boots on the ground people on January 6th have pleaded guilty to things that they've done, plus all the people that have been convicted, including the leader of the Oath Keepers, I think, who was sentenced to 18 years, and the leader of the Proud Boys, who hasn't been sentenced yet, but they're recommending 33 years for him. Well, it seems that those kind of things might have had a deterring effect on people's willingness to come and protest for the Orange Menace. It seems also that now here's a name some people might be familiar with, Laura Loomer. Who was big time right hand. Well, apparently for Atlanta, she put out a call saying, "Hey, everybody, come and protest for Trump." And it seems that Trump did back then something that he's not allowed to do now, but he, screen capped her tweet and then retweeted it, along with a link to a Newsweek article about the protest. Now, he's not allowed to do that anymore.
No.
Judge Chutkan says you can't tweet, and you also can't retweet something somebody else said. I didn't say it. Somebody retweeted it. I was just retweeting.
Can't do that either.
Yeah. Well, it seems that soon after that happened, Laura Loomer was basically saying, "Come at 10 a.m. It will be wild." She didn't say that Um, and Trump was calling like for the biggest protest we've ever seen. Please come, like in all the previous ones. And it's like, you do know, right? The United States has had million-man marches, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't get anywhere near million coming to January 6th, and then a lot of them are in jail right now, so they're not actually
Yes.
available to come to your next protest. So he posted all of that, but all the supporters basically, as soon as that came out, they said, "It's a trap. It's a law enforcement Antifa setup to try to get us all. Don't go." And it's sort of like, I think there's a little bit of poetic beauty in justice.
Oh, yes.
In the man who's literally totally paranoid, saying, "Everybody's coming to get me." Saying, "Listen, they're actually coming to get me now. Come and protest." And then all the protesters go, "I don't know. I think they're coming to get me."
I think I'm going to pass on that. Yeah.
Well, you know the story.
FAFO.
The thing, I remember somebody saying at one point, like the story about the boy who cried wolf, is that there actually was a wolf. Because the boy did get eventually eaten by the wolf. It's the one part we forget about the story. Don't cry wolf. Because if there actually is a wolf, nom, 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 nom.
Sort of what it boils down to.
Pretty much, man. And then there's this story I heard that just blew my mind, because it relates to me. It relates a little bit to the foreign interference thing here, because we heard somebody mentioning yesterday on the previous show that we had. It was Elizabeth May, I think. She was saying about our foreign agents, about the leaks, and how this is. It really shouldn't be happening, and we should really be concerned about it. Well, a different style of corruption that never even occurred to me. But in the United States, it seems that the DEA, which is the Drug Enforcement Agency, hired dozens of agents who had failed the agency's and the program's lie detector test during the hiring process.
Interesting.
Because it appears that there was an unwritten policy at the DEA of hiring friends and family of senior agents that were already working there. And therefore, when these people
no nepotism.
Yes, so when it went to the polygraph test and they failed, the people from the polygraph unit were being pressured to pass them anyway. A whistleblower, a whistleblower that was working in the unit mentioned it because even though people were making statements about criminal activity that they might have been engaged in, that probably would have warranted further investigation before becoming a DEA agent. Well, people including the son of a DEA supervisor, the son of a DEA agent from the New York Field Division, and a case where an inspector at the DEA headquarters kept on making repeated calls to the polygraph unit, asking them to keep retesting his son. Say, "You didn't fail once, but several times. Keep testing till you get it right." So it seems that they would fail the test, and then somebody would just write in the report that they passed it and just pass it along. So this person blew the whistle. Now you have to understand that in the DEA, for the polygraph unit, that is like the toughest unit to get into. It's like the elite thing. So like only the best get there, and there's a 14-week training period and all that kind of stuff. The straw that broke the camel's back for this whistleblower was when one of the candidates admitted, under a lie detector test, to having, quote, pedophilic impulses towards his own daughter and other children. And he was passed.
Well, that's
Yes.
distressing to say the least.
Yes. Now, he ultimately was not hired, fortunately, but this person went up, blew the whistle at this point. Okay, I understand. Okay, other criminal activity. Okay, now we're talking pedophiles.
Legit pedophiles.
Yes. And the agency apparently told him that there was nothing that could be done and that reporting it could render him liable. Hey, this guy's a pedophile. Well, we can't really prove it. You bear false witness and try to destroy somebody's life. Click, you going to jail. So he was threatened. Basically, Kid James, he's probably a camp counselor now. Ouch. Ooh.
Yeah.
And so it was reported to the DA's Office of Professional Responsibility, and the Inspector General then did an investigation and identified that no fewer, and this number will floor you, 77 people, nearly all prospective special agents, despite questionable polygraph results, were hired. Now, in 2019, they enacted a policy specifically to exclude candidates who have failed a polygraph test who have shown the signs of using countermeasures to influence the test. Apparently, they needed to write that down in 2019, that if you fail the test, you fail the test. Or if you see somebody using countermeasures, you should fail them. So in order to circumvent this policy, the 77 people that had been hired were just claimed by HR of that division to have been hired under an old job offer announcement that was in place before the policy was in place. Well, it doesn't matter if the job offer was in place before the policy was because in the law, right? For example, if they changed the law. Yes, it's the law that was in effect at the time you committed the crime that applies to you. Right. So if you were let's say you were charged with murder 2 years ago, and last year they changed it to make the sentence for murder lighter. You don't get to benefit from the lighter sentence because when you committed the crime, it was the old law that was in place.
Right.
They did the opposite of this.
Oh man, I just don't know some days,
And then a further 3 were hired, despite showing red flags. The DEA claiming that their exams took place prior to the policy taking effect. You still shouldn't have hired them even without a policy. They failed. Oh, man. It's incredible. And then on top of that, they brought in people from other police forces, lower ranked police forces, to participate on special teams. Because that happens sometimes. 9 of those people that they brought in are now being returned to the parent agencies due to having failed the polygraph. So they failed the polygraph, and they still brought him into the special task force.
Wow.
That place is a mess. And according to the whistleblower's lawyer, he said, quote, many agents who employed countermeasures or failed became issues later on. They were accused of misconduct eventually. And he basically said that their fault was, quote, they are all people who could tell a lie. How's that? So, yeah. The more I think about it, the more I think Miss May is onto something.
Oh, yes.
That we might need to have a very concerted clean house effort.
I would think so. And I'm not being alarmist when I say that. I mean, we have issues, and they need to be fixed, and they need to be taken care of. They need to be dealt with, and they need to be dealt with severely and seriously, because we can't be having that. It's as simple as that.
No, we can't. These are people that are supposed to be there to protect us
Mm-hmm.
and defend us, and making sure that our systems and our institutions, that nothing untoward or unexpected comes out from the outside to disturb how they function, and they're well functioning. Peace, order, good governance. Yeah. I mean,
Man.
if it can be that bad at the DEA for that long,
Mm-hmm.
it just seems like it's almost like, I don't know, like every 5 years you need to do a whole sweep of the whole place just to make sure nothing has settled in as a standard operating procedure of some kind. And I don't know if that's done, because it just seems to be that maybe letting this type of agency not go inspected for 10 or 15 or 20 years, that might be too long a period.
Bad idea.
Bad idea. Speaking again of various law enforcement, the RCMP in Canada here has the highest vacancy rate in years. New
really?
hires are not matching attrition. So it seems that military and the RCMP both have similar problems here. And every province and territory that uses the RCMP say that they are short-staffed, some with vacancy rates in the high teens. Now, the RCMP is considering certain moves, like, for example, with regard to mobility, asking officers where it is that they would like to be stationed, where it is that they would like to serve. Hopefully that might keep a couple more people in the force. And that and the federal government says that it is reviewing contract policing at this moment. Which is an interesting thing to make, because I know that Alberta is thinking of making a push for provincial police, and it seems that here's the thing. I think it might be more of a necessity than anything else if the RCMP is that short-staffed. But then again, it's like when we talked about that Surrey situation, where the city of Surrey had voted to have a municipal police, and then they had another mayoral election. They decided that they wanted to go back to the RCMP, and then the public safety minister said, no, you guys are too far down the road now, because you have to do this in a way. The RCMP is already short-staffed, and that you can't just fill your force by taking police people pulled from other forces.
Yeah.
So no matter how they're organized, whether provincial or all RCMP, there are still X number of police officers, and you're going to need to train more somehow, somewhere. It's like it's the same thing with the nurses, right? Oh, well, we'll just do this so we'll take the for-profit nurses, we'll take the public doctors and put them in the public sector setting, and yeah, things will go faster. Yeah, but you still don't have mortars.
You've diminished the amount of doctors.
It's not
basically is what you've done.
There's only so much. Yeah, because there's only so much efficiency that you can. Okay, maybe we can have, if we use this operating room only to do surgeries, then we don't need to prepare the operating room for any possible type of surgery that could happen next. We could probably fit 2 or 3 more in a day in, right? There are those types of strategies, but there are only so many of those before you actually just need more bodies that you could put in place. It seems that with policing,
this is an interesting point from Linda here. It's just smaller municipalities have phased out their own police forces and rely on provincial and RCMP because of funding. That's contributing to the shortage for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. PNC Bio, hard to recruit people to tase poll travelers. Ouch. Alberta should not run their own police. Imagine Danielle's enforcement directives. You are referring an event.
Yeah, no kidding.
Remember that event?
Robert Stekanek, was that his name? Just Robert Jasansky, sorry.
Or Jacansky?
Jacansky.
Yeah. Oh my God, his mother. I remember his
Yeah.
mother was just devastated.
Mhm.
Devastated.
That was so poorly handled. It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
And we
Yeah, yeah.
watched it happen in real
Terrible.
time. That's the worst part.
Yep. Yep. It was terrible what they did to that man. Some skippy news here. Karen McCrimmon recently won the provincial by-election in an area that at least contains part of Skippy's federal riding. And this was a riding that the Progressive Conservatives were expected to win in the by-election and lost. It seems that there's Doug Ford might have another little land scandal on his hands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it seems that the Canada Golf and Country Club in the Canada Carleton riding, where Karen McKinnon is now the MPP, is slated for development with about 1,500 new homes planned for it.
Mhm.
Now, this is popular in the community because residents are saying that they're losing some green space. There could be federal government intervention or provincial government intervention, and it hasn't. However, a very similar situation happened not too long ago in Oakville, where there was a golf club that was slated for development.
Yeah,
And
that'd be,
there, for some reason, the Doug Ford government got involved.
that's what's the name of that course again? It's one of the more prestigious courses in Canada, but it's not super old. Like, it doesn't have a heritage. It only goes back like 50 years or a little bit more than that. But I can't remember the name of the course now. But it's one of the most famous courses in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Glen Abbey.
Glen Abbey. Okay, so that might have something to do with it.
Yeah.
But does not look like it's following a specific policy that's written down on paper.
Of course not. Doug makes it up as he goes along. He doesn't follow rules. He just makes it up as he goes along. That's it. Nothing more.
Mm-hmm. And the interim leader of the Liberal Party, again, in Ontario, who I like very much, and don't know why he's not running, but was quoted the other day as saying, Doug Ford came to Ottawa more than he's ever come. Twice, with lots of promises. He brought his whole caucus there, all of them, all of their staff, and they couldn't beat us. They threw everything they could at us, and they couldn't beat us. That's an interim leader who's crowing a little.
Just a little bit.
Just a little. And it seems that there is going to be another by-election in Ontario coming in Kitchener Centre for the residents who are living there. Get to know your candidates. And then make sure you vote. Nate Erskine, who apparently, according to Kitland M, is going to be backed by Karen McCrimmon in his Ontario Liberal leadership race, has mused aloud about whether his rival, Bonnie Crombie, would be able to hang around politics long enough to win an election and win one more after that. Now, Bonnie Crombie is 63 and Nate Erskine Smith is 39.
Yeah.
So, some people are suggesting that might have been a bit of a shady comment.
A little bit.
Now, Crombie has acknowledged her age, but Smith is basically saying, no, it's not about that. It's just, let's say Doug Ford wins again with their term, because I am definitely willing to be in for 2 cycles in order to get there if that's needed. Now, in one way, that's a good message for Nate Erskine Smith. In another way, if I was Bonnie Crombie, I'd be sitting there like spinning it. Oh, why is it that you can't win the first time? It's a legit opening. That's the things when you start to be a little too cute by half, you take your swing right? When you lead with the left, you have to make sure
Counterpunch.
what are you leaving open for the other person to come in and defend that. He may not have done that on this one. But yeah, it's starting to get a little testy.
Just a little bit.
Just a little.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. It seems that the airline carriers, on whom the government is trying to impose a passenger bill of rights so that they can be treated better when they travel, have decided that they are going to challenge the Passengers Bill of Rights in court, and that the Supreme Court of Canada has agreed to hear the case. According to the airline carriers, the rules are too strict and that the government surpassed its authority in putting them in place. Once again, maybe on the rules too strict, who knows? But passing its authority, that's probably not going to fly because there are many nations and groups. I know, like in the EU, they have these types of plans and that they are much stronger than ours. And they survived all challenges over there. So I'm pretty sure that this might not have the outcome that the airline companies are hoping that it will, and that it will just be a delay. But I can't see this winning just based on precedent in other nations, near peer nations. Yeah, Kitland M, it's not going to fly. Indeed. That's really, really, really clever. Thank you. That's a good joke. Play on words. I love that. 15 Beaver points. On housing, there's a new report that came out recently that laid out 10 recommendations to ending Canada's rental housing crisis. So this is specifically with regard to purpose-built rental, and saying that even though it's not necessarily the job constitutionally of the federal government to be doing this, that the federal government should indeed take a leadership role with a preference for a top-down Team Canada approach at a national and maybe even a national housing summit to get it done. They also talk about coordinating the national workforce plan using immigration strategy to help boost it up, along with the housing and infrastructure municipal target. Try to work on making those things mesh a little better, because right now they are not. 1/3 of Canadians are renters at the moment. So this is very important. Another thing, yeah, Dan goes, I'll run that summit for free. Let's go. Another suggestion that they have is waiving the GST on the completion of purpose-built rental housing construction. It sounds like a good idea on the surface. I'm not sure how that helps anybody but the builder specifically. But hey, if they think it'll make a difference, I guess we really need the housing. But I'm not sure how waiving GST on the completion of a purpose-built rental housing encourages well, I guess it could. I don't know. That one's a little above my pay grade. But it's often when I see for example, when the gas tax rebates that they've been giving during the time of inflation, they drop the price of gas by 6 cents, and everybody thinks that they get the savings, but there's absolutely nothing when they do these laws and they do these interventions that forbid the oil and gas company from then just like taking that 6 cents and then added it to the fee and said, thank you for this free subsidy. And they make it look like it's a subsidy for us, but it really isn't. So I'm wondering if this is one of those things or something different. Again, above my pay grade, I'm not well informed in this subject to be able to know. But it seems to me at first glance that waiving the GST on the completion of the housing is just a benefit to the builder and not so much to the renter, because there would probably be nothing in that law that would guarantee that those savings need to be passed down and prorated to the actual renter. The Conservative Party of Canada, their approach is to withhold funds from the accelerator fund in order to get that, in order to get people, to encourage people to build more purpose-built rental housing. I also don't see how that would work. So if you don't want to build more purpose rent build, then we won't give you funding for it. Well, if they don't want to build it, they're not actually asking for the funding for it. So it's just, I don't actually see how this, again, sounds really good in 15 seconds. Well, then we'll just withhold the funding. That'll learn them. But they don't want the funding because they're not building it. So, yeah, that's a little weird. The City of Toronto is looking to cover its tax shortfall by looking at things such as higher parking fees, higher land transfer tax on homes that sell for more than $3 million, and a 1% municipal sales tax for consideration by council in September. Shelley Carroll, who's the Toronto budget chief, says that 1 cent on the dollar, imagine the change it would be if we had $800 million to $1 billion of new money a year. Now, the city is facing about $50 billion annually of budget pressures, so this will literally only be a drop in the bucket to help towards that, even if all the proposals were implemented. Olivia Chow, the mayor, is quoted as saying that the government continues to fund traditionally federal and provincial programs in areas like transit and housing care. We have to negotiate a deal with both the provincial and federal governments, so we're asking them to step up and work with us. Now, Ms. Chow has already made some movement on that with regard to homelessness for people who need shelters and refugees and asylum seekers. Managed to get, I think, an additional $97 million for the federal government for that. But yeah. Not sure exactly how they're going to make up the shortfall, and that proposal for that 1% sales tax would probably have to be approved by the provincial government, and we know that Doug is not going to approve any of that.
Of course,
any additional taxes, and he certainly isn't going to lift a finger to help Olivia Chow because he's probably permanently mad at her that she's not John Tory. Hey, should have kept it in your pants. Kit Dan here says, City of Toronto got $300 million last year from the feds for purpose-built housing. They gave it all to the honest Eds developers at Bathurst and St. Clair. Don't believe the hype. Follow the money.
Yeah. Bathurst and Bloor, actually.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Bathurst and Bloor. But yeah. I'm not surprised. Disappointed, of course, but not surprised. I mean, I expect that. It's like, like Dougie creating new programs for people to get into the trades, which is basically a free labor pipeline for his developer friends. Yeah. Look at the bigger picture here, folks. We're getting hosed.
Oh, yeah.
We screwing over people in the process and doesn't give a damn.
Yeah. Mr. Grizzly, I unfortunately have a hard out because I have to go feed the parking meter.
Okay. That's fine. I get you. I understand.
Right. Did you have anything else?
I'm exhausted anyway. Nothing really pressing. There's a lot of little stories that I'm trying to cobble together here, but with my current state of exhaustion, I'm not able to concentrate on it. So I think we'll leave some of those for the next couple of days. I'll try and cobble something together for you and see if we can add to the conversation. I know you have some video you want to show, but we won't be able to do that until tomorrow.
Yeah, because this is not the platform here at the Ottawa Beaver Lodge.
Yeah. But once you get home, you can upload the images to your computer, and then we can have a look. Because I think you got some video of me doing my MC DJ thing
I have
yesterday.
A little bit. Yes. I tried to record you the first time because I got a new phone, and when I got back to my Beaver suite, I realized that it only took a picture of you instead. So then I bolted all the way back down the parade route to try to get to the front and get as much as I can. So the clip that I got is a little shorter, not as good as the first clip. This first clip was brilliant. But on the second one, I think you're sort of hanging out of the golf cart a bit too.
Yeah, I was doing that a lot. I was hanging out on the edge of it, and I'd be stand up on the rail, and I'd start dancing, and which really was not a very safe thing to do, I'll admit. But I had a handrail to hold on to on the inside, and just trying to hype up the crowd and hype up everybody from the office who had. I'm told everybody said they had a great time, so I'll take that as their word. So I'm sure the emails will start rolling in sometime soon, letting us know how much fun it was. So I was just trying to do my best to get everybody into a fun, festive mood. It was a beautiful day, and it was a lot of fun. And I am exhausted today, though. It was a long day.
My feet are still screaming at me.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, and I don't know if you're affected by ragweed, but I woke up this morning, I could hardly breathe.
Oh, no.
And I think you can sort of hear my sinuses a little in my throat this morning. So, yeah, I'm a little congested. So it's I just took a Benadryl, which means I'm going to have to take a nap at lunch, I think.
Oh, Mademoiselle Fox says, P, you rocked it. So proud of you.
Oh, thanks, baby.
Oh, so much pride going on.
It was a lot of
fun. All right, kids. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because, well, we love making this for you. We really do.
We do.
Yes. Please, sharing is caring. So let all your peeps and poops know about us. Spread the word. Let them know. And because democracy is something that you do, grab a writing implement. Grab a piece of reformed tree. And put that writing implement to that piece of reformed tree or reformulated tree, and let certain people know what you think about stuff, like MPs and MPPs and MLAs and senators, and particularly people from the media. Let them know what you want their attention to be on, because once again, I still cannot understand that in this country, at this current moment, we have Mike Ronan, Harper's number 2 at the IDU until like last week or something, and a key person in the Andrew Scheer campaign, and nobody is talking about him on front page.
Let's just jog everybody's
That should be the number one
Petey
story.
Flip-flop here. No, agreed. This is Petey Flip-flop. Today would be a good day for Trudeau's tearful apology for leaving the borders open to COVID and failing to deliver enough vaccines in January and February, resulting in a third wave. So he was all for closing the borders when it suited his needs. Then he demanded that they reopen them.
Yep, because then it suited his
Petey Flip-flop.
Yep, and that's the same thing that's going on with Meta and Meta thing, by the way, right? It's like the conservatives who don't care about news whatsoever are really pissed off at this. The main reason being is because Meta is no longer carrying the Post media and the Sun stuff. That's all their party propaganda for free anymore. It's actually making it harder for the conservatives to get their propaganda and misinformation out to you. So that's why all of a sudden they care about the news. That's what happens when you own 95% of the news generation. Because when that news doesn't slide under people's nose when they're sharing recipes and pictures of their grandkids and looking at cute cat videos, then it makes it harder for them to get their message out. And that's why they're mad.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So, keep the pressure up. And that's why they're calling for us once again to roll over and show our belly to the big corporate tech giant in order for a few crumbs, which is exactly the same thing that they proposed that we do in the case of Meng Wanzhou. You should have forgotten the extradition law. You should have let it go to the United States and let them handle it. You should let them go. We should have never applied the law. The law and order people
don't want to apply the law.
Don't want to apply the law. If it creates a minimum of inconvenience to either them getting their message out or affect some money coming in. Again, they had no problem with the borders being closed and they wanted to overthrow the government. But they sure had a problem when the Vancouver port strikers demanded better salary so that they can be able to still eat and not just afford rent before coming into work. You see, that the money you give me, I can afford my rent, but it means that I can't eat. And since I'm working at a loading dock, it kind of requires calories. Maybe. So, yeah. Let them know.
Let them know.
Let them know.
Well, and write your MPPs to tell them, if you're in the province of Ontario, write your MPP and let them know that you're not going to stand for this garbage. Ford says he's confident nothing criminal took place in Greenbelt land swap.
Oh my God.
RCMP
Sounds
probe.
more like Trump every freaking day.
Yeah.
Literally. I
And this
did nothing wrong. Nothing criminal happened.
the
No collusion.
25th. This is from Friday.
Every time he opens his mouth, he sounds more and more. I swear. The Republican governor of Ontario, Premier Porky Pig.
Yeah, the RCMP said Wednesday it's assessing whether or not to investigate after receiving a referral from the OPP.
Yeah.
And this is what Doug had to say. If they decide to investigate, they haven't decided yet, but if they do, I take it very serious, extremely serious, and I'll have zero tolerance if there was any nonsense going on.
He's still trying.
I'm very confident nothing criminal took place. I won't tolerate that.
Dude, you set up a criminal system and then pretended that you had no oversight after you set it up. Here, I want this guy to be your housing minister. Form your little unit. Now, you don't have to think. Just go to those dinner parties and accept those packages and then pass them through. And, hey, this conversation didn't take place and I know nothing, all right? Wink.
Allegedly.
Oh, come on. That system was designed so he did not see and did not. Come on. The most important thing to him that he keeps coming back and coming back and coming back to it. And then finally, when we were exhausted by COVID and mourning people, that's when he decided to slip it in. Come on. Gee.
At least give me a kiss first, right?
Right. Jeez. Anyway, I have no idea where I am in my closing. So we'll thank our sponsors again. And I will say, yes, Podpage, sponsored by the Ray Girl. Podpage.com if you'd like us to come to you as soon as we have something fresh off the bandwidth. So podpage.com/ I believe this one is True North Eager Beaver with the True North Beaver with small lowercase letters with each one of those words. And that way, you can subscribe. And since you're subscribing, why not make like Kit Elaine and go to our True North Eager Beaver Incorporated, True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel, where you can smash 3 buttons. Oh yeah, you could get down with everyone there. Like, subscribe, share. Yeah, they're waiting for you. Help us out. And if you would like to encourage us to do more, well, we work for tips. So if you'd like to contribute to our emergency hydration fund, please go to ko-fi.com. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/ all in one word, lowercase letters, or bring your phone to that little squig that's by Mr. Grizzly's head right there. And that way you can make sure we remain hydrated so that we can produce the show for you. And the more you contribute now, the better our show will be.
Indeed.
I'm being so shameless. Yes, Page, not Cage. Pod Page. We cannot be held responsible for what happens to you or what you see if you go to podcage.com.
We don't know what's
We're just telling you.
know what's there.
I've not been brave enough to go to podcage.com to see what's there just out of curiosity. So consider yourself warned.
There you go.
From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, kids and cubs, it's a tough world out there. Even though I am beaming with pride today, and I'm so happy because it was a beautiful weekend. If you're feeling like that too, try to keep that energy going for the rest of the week. Try to just surf that wave. Don't let anybody knock you off your board. Just ride that beautiful wave. Saying until when we see each other, dear kids, again, please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom for us?
Yes.
Okay.
To the people of 2023, wear sunscreen.
You are not too white.
The benefits of sunscreen have been proven. They are real, and they do help you. Advice is something I can dole out, but whether or not you choose to listen is entirely up to you. But sunscreen works.
And this is from personal experience. And Mademoiselle Fox says, yay, be safe, wear sunscreen and a condom.
Sure.
All right.
I'm wearing
to the
one
best
right
damn
now.
fam. What?
I'm wearing one right now.
You're wearing one right now. To the best damn fam in all of podcasting. Have a wonderful week. Mr. Grizzly, please roll them credits.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Is that the mascot? What's he saying?
Yeah. What's that?
I don't know what he's saying.
Okay.
I can't hear anything.
Sorry. I'm just talking to the boss here, Alistair McBear. He's given us our performance evaluation here. Says we did a really good job, but wanted me remind me to put in a little news of Canadians who made us proud. If you watched our podcast, of course, the weekend, it was kind of happening live, but at the World Track and Field Championships or World Athletics Championships. Sorry, to be more proper. We had a day on Saturday, which was the best medal haul day for Canada in all of the games history, all the championships. And we won 4 medals on that day. And sometimes that 4 medals is better than we've done, I think, in a couple of world championships throughout the whole world championships. So gold for Marco Arup in the 800 meters. Gold for oh my God. This wasn't yesterday. Sorry, it was the day before yesterday. Cameron Rogers in the women's hammer throw. Sorry, not Saturday. So we have the men and women's world championships, hammer throw. That's pretty good. A gold and a silver in the decathlon for Canada. And Pierce Lepage won his first ever World Championship medal. Damien Warner finished second. Apparently, Damien Warner has never won the World Championship.
He won the Olympic gold, which is the big granddaddy.
Yeah, the Olympic gold.
All, right?
Yes, won the World Championship. I thought he had already had a few. And then I believe his name is Carol. I'm sorry, Minton, who won a silver in the shot put. I don't know when we'd be at throwing things other than a fit, but or a good party.
Couple of Donnybrooks, a couple of haymakers.
Exactly. Exactly. And then throughout the rest of the championships, there was yet another fourth place for race walker Evan Dunphy, this time in the 35 kilometers, so fourth in the 20, fourth in the 35. So close. And a fourth place by the 4x400 meter women's relay. It seems to be our perennial spot.
Cool. We're just knocking on the door, almost there.
Yeah. But hey, one more year to go to Paris. This team is ready.
That's correct, yes.
This team is ready.
Yeah.
Way to go, Canada. All right. What's that?
All righty.
Alistair McBear says, that's it. I've done everything well.
Cool.
So have a great day.
All right. We'll see you later.